There are some lessons that can't be taught, and I think that emotional management might be one of them. The other day, I was on the bus and a guy got on. I was listening to a podcast and kind of heard in my ear that this guy had obviously been through a breakup because he's been very loud on the phone. Uh, you kind of know how you are if maybe you've been through a breakup or you've got a friend that went through one. You don't really care what people hear because your entire world is falling apart. So what does it matter if some random dude hears? Because what has happened to you is so unbelievably terrible that everything else pales in comparison. And I remember thinking, damn, this guy's really going through it. I've been there. I've had friends who've been through that. Just the same way that those emotions, especially for a first relationship, sort of rush in and you think, wow, this is like an incredible side of reality that I didn't know about. And then when that's taken away from you, you have the opposite and it hits you and you don't know how to deal with it because you've never experienced anything like it. And I think, damn, the poor kid, man. Maybe a 16 or 17-year-old next to me. I couldn't see his face. And then he started saying a few things that didn't really add up for a 16 or 17-year-old. He said that I went to tell the mates the other day, John, that I was going to go home, but that place isn't my home anymore. And I was like, okay, well, was he living with her, or maybe was it his mum instead of a girlfriend? And then he said, maybe I should have got it because his mate's name is John. Because honestly, I do not know a kid called John. It's a very old man name. And this guy was an old man. Well, not an old man, he was a man. He said, John, I got to get my life sorted out. I'm 35 next year. I'm 18 currently. I've just turned 18. This guy was double my age. And suddenly, like, I'm still sympathetic. But I was just thinking, I've been there and I've like lived that experience and know how to deal with it. Obviously, you can live through it multiple times, but it's very clear that this guy, it was all very, very new to him. And so in 2 lifetimes of my lifetimes, like I've got more experience than him. And as much as I'm sympathetic, if I was like that when I was a 35-year-old, 18-year-old me now would look at him and be a bit sort of, oh, come on, man, like you're supposed to be grown up. And emotional management is something that I'm very grateful that I've kind of sped round through recently in the last few years or so, and gone from a place of complete incompetency to I think somewhere where I'm pretty grounded. I had a breakup 1.5 years ago, and today was really the first time I'd spoken about it with my dad. It just randomly came up in conversation. He said, oh, whatever happened with that whoever thingy? And I explained, and then we just kind of got a little bit more and a little bit more. And it's like, yeah, that was the same with my first relationship. You don't know how to deal with it after. I was like, fucking hell, yeah. Why did you not tell me that then? Like when I was going through all this shit. And he said, well, I just kind of assumed if you had a problem, you'd come and talk to me. Completely fine. It's completely logical. But emotions are illogical, and that is the best takeaway. If I can give you one piece of thing to remember that. Emotions are inherently irrational, and so no matter how much you think rationally about it, you're not going to be able to solve the problem because you're using the wrong tools. And yeah, so me and my dad chit-chatted about it for a bit, and it was super good. I realised, damn, I've got younger brothers. They were going to like be going through relationships and stuff. I want to make sure that like they can have more experience and know what's going on than me. So I like just regularly keep him in the loop of like little bits of experience I'm learning. Also in regards to just like gym and life and just like all these different things, just to give him a bit of a boost. Because I used to think very logically, I remember trying to find some foothold in this sea of like uncertainty. What the fuck is happening to me? And I stumbled across Jung and psychology. And it's very deep and interesting, but the too long didn't read of it is that the brain is split into the anima and animus, and that is a logical side and an emotional side. And in boys, it's nurtured that you are more logical, and in girls, you get the more emotional side come out. And so when you get in a relationship and you are kind of introduced to the other side of the coin, it triggers your one and be like, oh my God, look, I'm like, it gets woken up and you don't know what the fuck to do with it. And so, yeah, just that is, once you can put a label on it Of just, okay, so this is what's going on. It's emotions. I'm not like going crazy. Some people were going to think, and I did too, like, oh my God, it's like divine intervention, like it's meant to be. And then the converse of it when you break up is, oh my God, the world is ending. Yeah! Like, you see? But it's just emotions. Like, it's really, that's literally all it is. But I think so many people don't know about it and don't like appreciate it until like you've lived through the experience, because it's happened with me, a bunch of my mates, and it's really good to know. So if you're interested, Jung's psychology is like a good thing to like put a label on it. But it also has much broader implications for the rest of just life. The conclusion of Jung's stuff is that you need to bring both of these into your, like, unite them, and it's called integration. And I'm feeling pretty integrated. Like, but before, I used to be incredibly logical and it's like, oh, you're sad, you're happy. Like, what you should do is still, it's a very objective. Like, do what the most optimal thing to increase the most output is. And you just can't live like that. It leaves you very stressed and stuff. And now I can just kind of feel my way into things. And I noticed and I'm now not ignoring my emotions. I noticed the other day, and for a long while, I've been having a bit of a mental block to make videos, and there's been some hesitancy. And the logical side of me could like, just output videos. Sure, like that is completely right. But then there's also a bit of me that's like, this is kind of like a passion project. It's starting it now. I'm really enjoying it. And I can think like, why would I not want to do anything else? And so I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy making it. I don't want to just put it out for the sake of it. ChatGPT is amazing for this, by the way. If you have psychological stuff, do not look through my ChatGPT stuff. But, oh my God, you can ask it to ask you all the relevant questions that might be useful. And then when it asks you all these questions, like, oh, did you have maybe, were you maybe raised by a single parent, or all these different things, and you give it that information, then it can assess you so much better, because it's better at asking questions than you are. So just use it. It's the 500 IQ robot. Jarvis, jork it a little. So after jorking it a little, yeah. So after jorking it a little, that's a joke. Yeah. So then I asked it, what's going on here? Why would I have an aversion to making videos? I really like making videos. And it hit me with just a truth bomb of, your channel is about deeply personal stuff to you. You've begun to assimilate it with your identity. That makes sense. We assimilate tons of things with our identity, like clothes, like celebrities and stuff. So but I know bad stuff happens to them, or bad stuff like happens to our clothes. I've spilled a protein shake down here. I haven't been shat on, like something like that. Some people might feel like an affront. They might be like, why does that hurt? Even though it's just an item of clothing or a random person who doesn't know you exist, because you've assimilated like your self-identity with a little bit of them. And that's what I'd done with this channel. It's very personal stuff, and so I didn't want to put something out. This is what it said subconsciously. And it might not be the case, but it's a pretty good model that I didn't want to put something out that was then judged and deemed mediocre or subpar, especially because I've had like tons of good stuff happen recently. But it's really good, because as soon as you're able to recognize, okay, this is what it is, like you can classify what type of problem it is. And then this is the logicalness stepping back in, but you can classify it as an illogical problem. And that means it's still a problem. That doesn't mean that you just discard it. There's also terrible bias if you see it as very like, if you don't have a good emotional intelligence, or like EQ, because there's IQ for intelligence quotient or something, and emotional quotient, just how well you are emotionally, you're going to look at other people and think, what the hell are you doing? And I 100% did. I would look at people who are like very emotional and be like, how do you operate up here? But now I understand, and I get both of it, and it enriches my life so much. But yeah, that's a really good tip for you, hopefully. If you've never had anything like this, or relate to this in any way and can just give advice to anyone in the comments, emotional problems are problems that you can't really solve with logic. You just kind of have to feel it out. And That's okay. This is maybe a painfully obvious video for some people to watch, but I know that me 2 years ago would have watched this, and if me 2 years ago had a bit of respect for the random dude in a shed right now, he'd be like, okay, maybe this guy's talking about something and maybe I should just be aware of it. And that would save him so much sort of, what the fuck is going on? And so if it is not for anyone else on this planet, but one day, somehow, I end up as a 16-year-old me, and by some chance I locate this video on the internet, it's like, that does good, and that makes me very happy. And so yeah, we're back to doing videos, and I've got so much awesome stuff planned. My DMs are full of chalky milkers. That's all I'm going to say. Have a great evening, and catch you later. Bye-bye. Fuck. I missed the button.